Today, NWC members of the People's Democratic Party meet state chairman. Agitation for new PDP chair grows. And as for our voting bill progresses to second reading, tonight we analyze our electoral reforms in Nigeria and the way forward. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimaloe in Abuja. Tonight our attention is what is going on in the People's Democratic Party. If you're bothered about that, you probably will also be bothered about what is going on in the nation. So tonight I'm speaking with one man who can speak on both matters and also be gauging our electoral, the state of our elections in Nigeria. Is that the best that we can get? Now, if you are not in the country and you are watching tonight, maybe, just maybe, you might be able to vote in 2027 without having to come to Nigeria. That would be some miracle, isn't it? It might happen. You just might be surprised. But that process has gone through the second reading and been passed to constitutional amendment process. So we're dissecting that for us tonight. But first, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
The Senate today invoked Section 157, subsection 1 of the Constitution, officially removing Mr. Yakubu Danladi Umar as the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal from office for misconduct, to give way to the official resumption of Mr. Abdullahi Usman Bello as the new substantive chairman of the tribunal. In a motion deliberated during plenary, the Senate leader raised serious concerns over the conduct of Mr. Yakubu Danladi Umar, chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal, citing allegations of gross misconduct, absenteeism and corruption. 84 senators, which constitute two-thirds majority of the Senate, signed in favor of his removal, resolving to forward the resolution to the President Bola Tinubu for further action. A bill to amend the Constitution and provide for diaspora voting has killed second reading in the House of Representatives. The bill is sponsored by the Speaker and has been referred to the Constitution Amendment Committee for further legislative action. Meanwhile, the House is to investigate the activities of electricity distribution companies with the intent to hold them accountable and safeguard consumer rights. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has presented the certificate of return to the winner of the Ondo State governorship election, Mr. Loki Aiyedatiwa of the All Progressives Congress, APC. The ceremony, which took place at the INEC headquarters in Abuja, has in attendance Ondo State Governor-elect, who is also the incumbent governor, his deputy, the national chairman of the APC, and other prominent members of the party from the state. The electoral umpire describes the just concluded Ondo State governorship election as a true reflection of the will of the people of Ondo State. Governor Babagana Zulum of Borno State says lawmakers from the northern region must be vigilant not to sell out the region. He said that these are the stakeholders roundtable on Northern Nigerian youth development in Abuja, where he expressed the reservations of northern governors to the tax reform bills forwarded to the National Assembly by President Bola Tinubu. Professor Zulum says although he voted President Bola Tinubu in the 2023 election and has no regret supporting the president, he will continue to resist any policy that impinges on the development of the northern region.
There you have it, your political roundup stories, and you are up to speed. Now let's begin. First and foremost, what is going on really in the People's Democratic Party? There are those who believe that the party is on a downward spiral. Where can the party find itself to drag itself out of what has become a major quagmire? So today, the People's Democratic Party National Working Committee had a meeting with state chairman. Take a listen to the acting national chairman of the party, Umar Damagum.
So we are not calling the chairman here to maybe insinuate anything. So just for the record, it's a normal interactive session to welcome the new chairman that have just joined us, and also to know ourselves and to further discuss the ongoing donor congress that already comes has commenced with commencement of forms of the zonal congress.
Umar Damagum, well, that's the acting national chair of the PDP. Let's get a feel of what exactly is going on in the party. Perhaps that will also take us into what is happening in the nation. Well, if the PDP even has the locals to be able to speak about the problem of the nation, if they are not able to fix the problem in their party. But one person that has been vocal about both the problem of the nation and the problem of the PDP is Segun Shomi, a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight.
Segun, how are you?
I'm all right.
Okay.
Your party is sick, isn't it? And perhaps the sickness hasn't really been able to find a cure. What do you imagine could be the solution or the way out?
Okay, before I get to that, you know, one of the privileges of interviewers is that they can open an interview based on how they desire. And it played out mostly in America, where the candidacy of Donald Trump, he kept saying corrupt media, fake media, corrupt media. When he was doing that, I kept wondering, why is he saying this? But I'm beginning to understand it now. Why? The People's Democratic Party, my party, you just showed a clip of them having some kind of meeting with newly elected chairmen. You are aware that they were in Ondo. You saw that, okay, they came second, they didn't like come in miserable third. They were in Edo. We believe we won. We're contesting that in court. So sometimes when you say the party is this, the party is sick, the party is that, I kind of like feel that you're not comparing apples with apples. A political party is not a graveyard. Contestations of interest are the minimum you will expect in a vegetating, alive democratic party. Do not always insist that the noisy decibel of people who are probably losing out from a scheming game constitutes a destruction of the party. How? Yes, we have not gotten to the point where we're going to say one way or the other there's a new executive. Yes, there's one sticking issue as it concerns, okay, the chairmanship of the former chairman, Yosha Ayu, who, you know, kind of like got removed from his state by their own arrangement. Yes, there are complications as to where does Governor Wike stand, since he's a minister in APC government and he's still in the PDP. These are consequences that will have to be managed. But I take very strong objections to the fact that you are explaining and opening that the party is dead. Okay, if PDP were to be dead without conceding, which party is alive?
I say your party is sick.
If it were that, no. So if you say my party is sick, which I don't agree, which party is well?
So your party is perfect in this
No,
country.
it cannot be perfect. No, there is a sustained narrative that suggests, though, that the party that you all can see struggling with democracy, you can see struggling with issues that bother people's rights, people's interests, people's ways of doing things, is sick. And the one that is the graveyard of peace, you can't see what's going on there. You've never heard how they've done in Congress. You've never heard them do a meeting of their neck. You hear nothing from them. Because they are in government, so they are well.
Mr. Shomi, maybe we are the nation, and don't forget that the media is a mirror of its society. And there is, I cannot be asking you a question as relating to the culture and the people of the United States. I'm asking you and having a conversation about what goes on here in Nigeria. I know. Maybe those of you, they say in Yoruba land, and probably this program, that sometimes the owner of the matter is sometimes deaf to his own case.
True.
So sometimes you might not even be aware that your house is burning and you stay underneath. Maybe the nation just for a moment, let me land my question. Maybe the nation is over expectant of your party. Maybe we thought that your party is going to play such a huge role of opposition. Maybe the 16 years of your party's rule is gradually making us feel that is all your party could deliver to the nation. maybe that was our expectation. If you are tonight telling us that this is the best that your party, just for a moment, that this is your party, just for a moment, can you calm down? You are the one that is defending that your party has no problem, and I'm giving you a background. Now the question is that if you believe that what is going on in your party is perfect, what is your description of perfect?
Okay, so look, listen, all this, that, it's all over the place. The reason why I said is that I was the one that suffered some of the challenges that the party had. So I'm not by any means telling you it's perfect. But I take very strong objections that you are describing a political institution that contains more than 3 people, and you are expecting that there won't be issues that they are struggling with.
So when there are issues,
now,
how do you
you are not letting me answer this question, because I think you are really determined to force this ugly narrative on our party, and I don't agree. I'm not telling you that those issues I surface are not issues. But when people say the party is dead, I'm asking you, okay, which party is alive? We've just come from Mundo now. Everything said and done. Yes, okay, the figures have been the figures. Did we get like 2,000 votes? We've just come from Edo. Everything all said and done. Do we not even know that nobody that is decent can say the Edo election was a pretty decent election based on the fact that it's been contested in court? So it's sub judice. What I am saying is that I concede that there are expectations, that people expect that, okay, by now certain things should have happened. But those things are not that easy to wish into existence. We have, as it stands now, a standing NWC with someone acting as the national chairman that is still there. All the other organs are there. Apart from Damagun that is acting, is there any other person in that NWC that is not running his legitimate term or tenure? Can you say the same about our rivals? How many NEC meetings have you seen or heard? How many NWC meetings? How many board meetings? How many have you seen? You are making it seem that your idea in Nigeria that the political party is well is because it's going to have a piece of the graveyard and you won't be hearing issues. The only thing PDP is guilty of is guilty of being a democratic institution. And please, before anybody thinks that maybe I'm trying to, powder over the issues, there is only one sticking issue on the table for now that can easily be justiciable, which is that there are a lot of people in the party who believe that, yes, the North Central, Benue State particularly, have a moral right to replace acting chairman Damagun because of the circumstances that removed Ayu. But that's one problem. That's not the totality of everything going on in the party. The man just told you they are going to start doing zonal congresses. Have you ever even heard our rivals say that they are even doing state congresses? What they are saying, they are doing local zonal. To do zonal congresses, you do world congresses. World congresses is contestation of position, interest, and attitude at the base of the pyramid. You will do local governments. You will still have to go there and do state. Each of these one will produce people that will go and review whether it's okay. That will be. Look, my brother, I'm just trying to say that do not, please, insist that it is only the ruling party that is a democratic party. Because you people are going to run this country into a dangerous one-party state with a compounded state capture. And that is dangerous. So let me just answer you. The PDP has some issues that is like bordering on house cleaning, but you can be sure candidates will emerge for the presidential election. That's what you are afraid of. We will produce candidates. We will run a campaign, and by the grace of God, if the Nigerian people do a referendum on the ruling party and do a referendum on us, they have a right to go and choose. If we get to elections, if the people say they are suffering, if they say their life is not being run well, if they say they can barely feed, what more persuasion do you expect the PDP to do for them other than the one they have to do for themselves? And when they get to the polling unit, political parties don't win election by themselves. Political parties win election on the back of the people making a decision whether their life is better now or they need to change. And I want to beg you, yes, last comment, I want to beg you, and through you beg the media, recognize the difference when people are using their voices to insist that their position is the only position on the table. I disagree. The position you have is on the table. The position your rivals have is on the table. The position people on the middle have on the table. The position people that are even angry with you have on the table. All of these positions is the amalgamation and the management of saying that you call a political party. And that is what democracy is about. Thank you.
I mean, I see that you've struggled to explain.
I'm not struggling. I'm not telling you that it's getting a little bit annoying.
You're getting a bit emotional, and you've struggled, just as your party is struggling, you struggle to explain the position of. You can gaslight the media and gaslight me as much as unnecessary pride.
I'm not gaslighting you.
But you know very much that is this the same way opposition was played when you people were in ruling party?
Thank you.
If you say that's the way, that's fine. We can go ahead.
Do you think that nonsense they were doing, calling people into the street every day, shaming the country, run up and down the place, demarketing the country, refusing Jonathan to buy arms to fight issues, you think that's how to run a country? We are far more mature than them because we understand what it means to protect the territorial integrity and the brand equity of Nigeria. That's why we don't go out of our way to go and be demarketing the country like they were doing.
You need to pinch yourself. You are probably one of the only person that speaks for your party, and you think that is all right. If you think it's okay, we can move on. Like I said,
I'm most likely going to be their next national chairman. So let me start speaking for them now before I pass the baton.
I see the reason why you're probably not very much in tune with what is going on in your party, and like I said, sometimes if you are the owner of the matter, you might be deaf to the issue.
No, thank you very much.
Your party, we are asking that your party should stand up and play the opposition role.
What exactly is even this opposition role? There's hardly a day that goes by. In fact, sometimes I even think that we over-complain. To be honest, there's hardly a day go by that you won't say the former presidential candidate of our party, Atiku Abubakar, come up with policy positions for our party.
Is Atiku Abubakar the party?
I'm talking about
an institution. I'm talking about an institution, a democratic institution. Let me give you some background. There is a ruling in a democratic structure. There is a ruling party and a ruling government. There is the opposition leg. There is the media and there is the civil society.
Like I don't know.
I need to remind you. And when the opposition is not playing its role, it makes it difficult for the media and the civil society to also play its role. And I'm reminding you and jolting you back to reality that you and your party needs to play your role well.
So let me try and explain something to you, and I will try and be as calm as possible. You must understand that ideally, what constitutes playing opposition role is having an alternative viewpoint to their policies, and we do that. What constitutes opposition role is taking them on issues that require that we can say, no, we don't agree with this. The opposition role is not jumping all over the place, trying to tell the governments of the world, tell lies about your country, make your country ungovernable, produce an imagery that does not help the country or even help you in case you come into government. We are far more mature than them because we understand what it means to run government. And for that reason, we won't make their work too hard for them. We'll only keep nudging them on in the right direction. And there's even at that, there's even a time for politics. And there's a time for governance. And within the governance infrastructure, you cannot, I repeat, insist that opposition party in the country, especially a mature one like PDP, what will constitute opposition is that nonsense that they were doing, Ali must go, we not go agree, or just have today, don't remain in land tomorrow, don't take something, just talking against the run of common sense. We can't behave like that. We won't behave like that. If the Nigerians are happy that their lives can only work when their country is shamed, their country is painted black, their country is manipulated into the bad books of the international community, welcome on board and see how you can solve it. But PDP will not do that. We will speak to them on issues, we will speak to them on policies, we will speak to them on ideas, we will take them on what they are doing, and we are doing enough of that. And the media, you cannot be our partner. Don't be our obstacle, because you are not an obstacle to us. You are an obstacle to the people who understand that democratic parties must be vegetating and alive. It's not a piece of the graveyard. We don't run a system where one man speaks and everybody starts sleeping or rolling on the ground or licking spittle. Imagine the other day, in this country that I have born, and I'm not a small boy here, I'm seeing the whole national security advisor of the country saying, terrible gain. I literally wanted to scatter my TV that when did this country become like this? A national security advisor will come and do an address calmly and step away, not convert himself into a poster boy, a lick spittle, a daddy yo-yo of a country. Do you know what that means? These guys are making sure that almost everything that this country is known for, we are no longer able to do. Look at what they are calling the media team. A cacophony of everybody. Nobody knows who is the leader. Nobody knows who is the one. So they give an appointment in the morning. The young man makes a press release. In the afternoon, they've changed. Is that how you want our country to run? And on top of that, even if there are problems in the PDP, there are rumors, which is very well founded, that is the hand of Esau and the voice of Jacob. You think they are kids you are talking to? If we are struggling to keep democracy afloat, you need to be supporting us. And you have never invited the party to an interview that we did not attend. You have never invited us to a conference in this country that we did not attend. Right now, myself and my friends, we are running a structure. Fix PDP, fix Nigeria. Why? You think because I'm going to steal your vote? I don't have that interest. I just want us to be a democratic institution that other nations in the world can envy. And being a one-party state or enabling a one-party state is not part of it. And for the record, the population of this country, the tribal issues in this country, the religious mix in this country, the poverty in this country, the unemployment in this country cannot even afford a one-party state because you can't even accommodate all interests within one party. So,
I'm happy that you are agitated because for those of us who want the best for this country.
I know, thank you for wanting the best for us. I've just told you the answer. Let's go to their government. That's what you're supposed to do. You will invite us here. Instead of us to talk about their government, you want us to talk about PDP is this, PDP is that. Who killed it? A party that did not die when Obasanjo tore his card. A party that did not die when Jonathan stood back. A party that did not die all these years is going to die. Because of who? PDP diet not.
But let me ask you, how do you resolve the so-called imbroglio about acting chairmanship seat? What do you think is a way out?
You see, the problem with a quick to go to court party is that their hands are always tied. If you do something that is ultra virus, they will come back and tell you, oh, it's ultra virus, you can't do anything about it under the circumstance. So if there's a case in court, we painstakingly, painfully wait until we can vacate it. It is not the ideal situation, but we solve that lacuna in our constitution by making sure that anytime we have a national chairman, we have two alternative vice chairman. In case something happens to one from one zone, we can back up with that one. Yes, we can say, oh, Mr. Damagun, all things considered, please. But if you cannot bully you, when you had an opportunity to tell him to leave so that others can join the fray, you cannot bully Damagun now. I don't agree. And there's nothing to do with any relationship with any one of them. You must learn to understand that things may not always go your way. If they don't go your way, it doesn't mean you have to be saying that you have the kitchen must be broken. What
factor do you think is at the center of this problem?
You want me to tell you?
Mm-hmm.
People would like to say Wike, but I'd rather say Governor President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
It's the problem of your party.
Absolutely. He had no business appointing our member into his cabinet without talking to us. He had no business. He had no business taking use of Wike from our party and appointing him. He had no business. When Obasanjo wanted to form a government of national unity, he wrote to the elders of the party. But what did he do? He took one of us, put him in a strategic position, and suddenly the whole thing is complicated. Is it compulsory? If he wants our party to be okay, sack quickly and return him back to PDP and see whether the party will not get stamina and will not move fast. But of course, you know, he's not going to do that. So stop asking me where the meat you put in your mouth is when you know that you ate it and you swallowed it. Thank you.
President Tinubu is the problem of PDP.
Please.
That is what you think.
My position is very clear. It is not, I'm not speaking Greek. I explained it, I justified it.
How do you then resolve it? Because it's your home.
Well, I'll tell you how it's going to be resolved. And let me just address him straight. One of the persons that tried that kind of nonsense in this country was the former Minister of State, who said all 5 parties belong to him and all of them are going to nominate him. This is the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a nation planted by God, by the sweat of many people. Too many people have died to allow democratic culture to stay in this country. I guarantee him it's not going to work.
Let me get your view on what is going on in the nation.
It's about time. Thank you. Welcome to where I want us to be.
on another trajectory to that. The president is in the G20 meeting.
Yes.
And there's conversation about ending poverty. And you wonder whether or not if the IMF is saying not just yet are the policies of this government yielding the right result. The government is confident that in no time the results are going to come. Patience is the key asking from this government that Nigerians need to be patient. But from that trajectory, do you see light at the end of the tunnel?
Okay, sure, well done. We gave them an economy that was a little bit robust. We gave them a nation that had a food bank in the silos filled with food that was put there during the regime of Jonathan and Akinwumi Akinshola, filled up. What have they brought back to the country? Nobody forced them to devalue everybody in Nigeria into poverty. They did that all by themselves. Nobody told them to float the currency and make our currency become so worthless without a commensurate thought as to how you are going to ensure that the citizens of the country will have the capital to even participate in simple commerce. Now, if anybody is sitting in Jibra where my leader, one of my very great friends, the man that I respect and respect me so much, President Lula of Brazil is, and they are going there to go and be talking about G5, G whatever to solve problem of agriculture in Africa. Do you not know that they have failed? Let me give you some policy direction that makes you know they failed. Before Buhari will leave, President Buhari will leave, he had arranged some money for them to be able to do seedling repair program in this country. The money was in, it was dovetailed in the Ministry of Agriculture. Ask the men that you are saying know how to run the country, whether they've been able to do it. What did they do? They left the money there. They carried all the money. Instead of generating the seeds in the country, they packed it to one country to go and buy their wasted seed that will reduce the generation and brought it there. Their Minister of Agriculture is still there. Ask them, when they were coming to say they are going to remove subsidy or whatever the hell they were saying, what were they thinking was going to happen to the extremely poor people of the country? Ask them, when they were saying they are going to remove poverty, do you know how many rainy farming seasons they have missed? We have had 3 farming seasons. Why have they not been able to rack up food production? Ask them. When I was here shouting on them and telling them, you cannot build a national economy on palliative. You can't run it on handout. And if you must do palliative, you can't do it by giving the money to people that you know are almost near criminals. You cannot do palliative for the poor in a wholesale. What have they done with their retail banking? What have they done with their money apps that can make people get the money directly? Why must we be a nation that will always constantly be explaining stories? Who have they punished since they came? Apart from going after opposition. The other day, they are running after, what's his name now, Okowa, because he's opposition element. They were able to get him to court. They never seem to be able to find their own. You see, Shehu, I wish and I pray for the sake of all of us and for the amount of debt they are gathering and the amount of monies and waste they are doing, that by the end of this their term, at least you can see some result. Because they told us 8 years, now almost 10 years ago during Buhari, patience. If you get all the citizens of Nigeria that have not eaten since months to be patient for 10 years, is that even realistic? Right now, we don't even have the economic activities in the hands of our people to participate in commerce. Why do you think companies are leaving? Some of them are leaving because our people can no longer even participate. And when you see what are they doing, they are living the best of their lives.
In all of these policies that this government is pushing for,
which one do I like?
Well, do you like anyone?
Yes, of course. If they are creative and they are calm and they are quick, that their taxation policy may work. But again, they have their history of saying that they want to give us an efficient tax collection system only so that most of our taxes will end in their pockets. That is where our fear is. If you don't have fidelity of how you have used other people's money, if the wealth you produce and project and show that you have is beyond what you had in 1999 in any other way that you cannot explain other than through government chill, when you tell us that you want to put all our revenues and our taxes under you, we got to be very scared. Because tell me, how did we end up with the alpha beta nonsense in Lagos? Is that what you want them to happen in Nigeria? If Nigerians, look, there'll come a day you will invite me, I'll tell you, oh, sauce in your stew. But for now, because we are still laboring to ensure that since we have democracy, there must be an opportunity for us to change government when we want or vote them continually in. But it requires the active participation of everybody, civil society, media, and opposition. The role of media is not to be in bed with the ruling party. The role of media is to be in bed with the opposition, because you are the mirror of the society. It's not to be pampering them and putting us down, putting us under pressure, and only seeing our mistake without even asking them any reasonable question. What do you see that they are doing? They've gone to the National Assembly again today to go and borrow more money. Question: if you are making so much money from subsidy, why do you need to borrow so much? If you cannot feel the impact, if inflation is 30%, if you have not been able to stabilize the currency, what are you really doing? You can't form cabinet, you can't balance the economy, you don't understand fiscal policy. What do you really understand? Yes, it's democracy. Yes, you have been certified as the president. Yes, we wish you well. Yes, we want you to succeed. But hey, the way to measure it is not by reducing yourself to a political party that carries money to the field to go and start harassing people with police. And look at what happened in Ogun State. They want to do a simple local government election. If they are not arresting and able to, they are inviting him to DSS. Is that not enough harassment? Why do you now think that everybody is not cowed? Do you know what it even takes for me to be brave in their face? Look, pray for your children, for yourself, for your younger ones, and for my children too, and even for the old ones. That they listen when we tell them, fix this, fix this, fix it. They've told us now they have a refinery in Nigeria. They said they are going to be selling the refinery, the dollar, the petrol in naira. Can you please explain to me why we are using international market price for a commodity that we have? I have a well at the back of my house. I decided that I want to pipe it. I have the ability to filter it. And I'm saying my children are going to be buying water. They said they are buying it in France. Is that not madness? Who has taught them that voodoo economics? What is IMF? IMF is a creation that is supposed to help those who need help. A nation that's a vibrant of Nigeria with a lot of things is supposed to be damn more serious. Your president has no business jacketing all over the place. He needs to sit down at home and solve the problem at home. Nations who want to be great, they have a period where they close themselves in and busy on themselves. And when they have started being busy on them, people will start saying, what are they doing there? What are they doing there? Not run up and down the street like beggars.
Mr. Showumi, on a final note, can you give us an understanding of perhaps if the government is saying be patient, and for those of us who think that there are critical issues that this government must address for the plight of the Nigerian people, can that patience actually be exercised? Considering what we have seen in the past month, can this government actually be trusted to say, yes, let's give them some time, let's give this government the benefit of the doubt? Is that actually plausible?
You know what they must fear? They must be worried if they have anything, if they stand for anything, great as statesmen. That why is it that suddenly more and more people are not even interested in the democracy? The quietness you see in a society where there is poverty and all of the issues, inflation that we are dealing with, it's not really quietness. It's like the rumbling before a volcanic eruption. The poverty in the land is too much. They have no business doing any other thing than attending to that. And that cacophony of economy. Do you know how many economic council teams they set up? The one that had, what's their name? The Maliku and Co. What has it done? The one that they had with Biswa of Mebane, what has it done? They just, you see, they have not even run the economic committee under the vice president very well. When was the last time you saw the vice president of Nigeria enjoy the robustness of a vice president like they used to do in the eras of our PDP? Everything is not just propaganda, shouting and screaming that they are stealing. Is that a fact? If you have tried a man, tried a man, tried a man, tried a man, sometimes you get tired of defending. I'm talking about Atiku. So at the end of the day, look at what has happened in America. Look at how people are closing up to say it's going to be about America. We're going to fix our country. We're going to drive immigrants out. Nations have forgotten the Northern Westphalian Treaty. Nations are now going back to what you call city-state concepts. And that means that nations must now begin to look at what is their own priority and face it squarely. Not going all over the place, we're going to be taking power with people.
Shagun Shawumi, a member of the People's Democratic Party. Thank you so much.
A leader of the People's Democratic Party. Thank you very much.
He's on another level tonight. But thank you so much. It's good to see Nigerians' vibrancy in this manner. Thank you so much, Indy, for your time. We'll take a break, everyone. But when we return, we're talking about electoral reforms in Nigeria. If you are in the diaspora, maybe you might be able to vote in the next general election. We'll talk about that after this. To amend the Constitution and provide for diaspora voting a skill. Second reading in the House of Representatives today. The bill, which was co-sponsored by the Speaker, Abbas Tajuddin, and Honorable Sadiq Abdullah, seeks to amend the 2022 Electoral Act and provide opportunities for Nigerians in diaspora to vote.
For an act to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Cap C-2-3, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to provide voting rights for Nigerians in diaspora and related matters, HB 1513. I so move.
There you have it. Yes, if you heard it right. The fact that if you're a Nigerian in Canada, in the United States, even in Ghana, in wherever part of the world you may be, opportunity for you to be able to cast your ballot for anyone you want in the next general election. That is the focus of that bill. It's scaled second reading and passed for constitutional amendment. Well, I'll speak now to the chairman of the House Committee on Electoral Matters, Honorable Adebayo Balogun. Thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's some very interesting conversations around electoral reforms in Nigeria, and this is just one of it. And I know your committee with several other civil society organizations are already thinking on how we can make our elections better. Yeah. Can you give us an idea, including the fact that they are suggesting that general elections should be held in one day, single day general elections? Those are some of the conversations. But in your own sense, what are those critical areas that are pivotal or that will be very important for us in our electoral process?
Thank you, Sheung. Yeah, the three main objectives of the electoral reform that we are actually undertaking are: one, to ensure that all litigations are concluded before swearing in. Number two, to ensure a free, fair, and credible electoral process. And thirdly, to ensure an inclusive electoral system. Now, when you're talking about ensuring that litigations are concluded, we want to ensure that our laws are made less ambiguous, because most of the time, sometimes interpreting the laws sometimes brings in so much ambiguity, like what we have in the two-thirds of the states vote in Abuja. I believe during the next amendment we'll make sure it's to be cleared out. And
that the position of FCT in our election, whether or not FCT has the status of the
states, yeah, it should be well spelled out. Sometimes maybe because of the way it's being drafted, some of these issues are becoming many.
So that is going to be declared in the amendment.
During the last election, it was also said that it wasn't a new issue. It has been cleared during Obasanjo's era, but probably there's something they still.
There are sufficient case laws to back all of that.
So we want to ensure that all other legislation too are so cleared, so that in a way that nobody sees any ambiguity in it. And we also are trying to ensure that penalties, we are looking at areas where penalties will be given to people that brings in frivolous cases when it comes to electoral matters, because we can no longer be wasting taxpayers' money on litigations that we know will not move. There are ruled out reasons where you can go, can pick up any petition, but nowadays you find out that people go for every reason, and at the end of the day we just waste our legal time.
I mean, just a moment, the one you mentioned earlier, which a lot of Nigerians will be very interested in, and which will go into the core of our constitution and in how it's been shaped, is whether or not all litigation can end, just like we saw in Kenya, before anyone is sworn in, because presidential election, for example, starts from the appeal court and ends at the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Now, so the proposition is that all of that will end, not as the president would have spent 3, 4, 5, 6 months.
That's I said, the objective is to ensure that all litigations are concluded before swearing in. So way to achieve is what I'm now reading out. That if you ensure that we have little or no ambiguity in the laws, these are things that cause some of this litigation. We penalize people that come with frivolous cases, reducing all litigations to 2 levels. Presidential is Court of Appeal and Supreme Court. Governorship is 3 levels. If we can also reduce that one to Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court. The legislative arm has already been Tribunal and Court of Appeal. And the one interesting thing is that why we have 2 levels in the legislative arm, you find out that the primaries, which is the pre-election matters, goes through to the Supreme Court. You find out that a case that has been concluded at the general election level is still pending at the pre-election matters. So we are going to ensure that we take that one to just to 2 levels.
What about
and pre-election matters must be concluded before the general election.
Are you weighing the option or looking at the Justice Ways Committee report, part of which also suggested Electoral Offences Commission?
Yes,
that will specially deal with electoral offences.
Yeah,
are you looking at?
No, the bill is on.
Is it being brought back?
Yes, it's been brought back. Yes, it was passed at the Senate the other time,
but it failed. It failed to take through.
Yeah, at the reps. But we are looking at some of the issues, and it's going to be brought back this time around, and I think it's going to sail through.
What about diaspora voting? Are you optimistic about diaspora voting?
You see, under inclusion, like I actually said, when it comes to inclusion, we are looking at how do we ensure that PWD and all elderly people are actually captured. Diaspora voting is also one of the areas, but the issue with diaspora voting is, although we are still going to take it to for public hearing, is diaspora is not just America and Europe. Diaspora is every other African country,
including Ghana, including
Congo,
Cameroon,
all those areas, everywhere. It's not just about pushing some of these things. It's about telling me how you feel is going to be workable. We are still dealing with the operational issues. We are still dealing with issue of having people having NIM numbers. If you don't have a NIM number, you don't have a proof that you're even in Nigeria. Many of those African countries, people live there without a passport, without a Nigerian passport. So those are some of these issues. If you are in America, you are in Europe, yes, before you go there, you have your passport. You know they know you are in Nigeria. And if you're talking about setting up polling units, how do you do it? So we need to talk about all this. When we go for public hearing, we'll talk about the workability of all these issues. And we're also even looking at how we'll be talking about early voting and voting by people on essential duties. Even inmates to be, we're talking about inclusion, we should be talking about all the people that are affected.
Early voting like you have in the United States, where you can put your
the early voting is are people in Nigeria, not external people now. Not external people now. Yeah. The early voting is either you do early voting or you create another means of doing it like they do in Liberia. In Liberia, if I've registered in Lagos and I've not posted to, maybe I have to work in Kano, I will be able to vote for the president, but I won't be able to vote for governor and the House of Assembly. But what we are looking at is, what you have in South Africa, a day before, 2 days before the election, they allow people on essential duties to go and vote. And the votes will be stored in a warehouse and not be counted on the day of election. During the last election, I was in South Africa too, there were incidents of attempts to break into the warehouse. And in Nigeria, for example, if, for example, Party A was winning when they counted the main vote for the day, and now you now go back to count the votes stored in a warehouse, and the winner changed, what do you think will happen? Especially if it is the ruling party that actually won in the stored vote. So these are issues. It's about the trust deficit that we have.
How do we fix the trust deficit?
No, it's a matter of reorientation. It's a matter of reorientation. You see, on election day, no INEC permanent staff is involved in the election process. They're all ad hoc staff.
But again, you talk about trust deficit.
Yeah.
The question will be the issues relating to why Nigerians believe less or why Nigerians have problem in the process is also in the appointment of those who govern the process of our election.
I just said now, on election day, no permanent staff of INEC is involved. Those are the important things.
It is important, but the question is that if a sitting government is responsible, the president is responsible for the appointment of an INEC chairman, appointment of national commissioners, appointment of the RECs, these are looking already like
recommendation and approved by the National Assembly, represented by every party.
Is there anything?
Every party.
Is there anything that you can do anyways to stop it? Because it's already appointed. Even if you appoint 3, 4, 5 people, the appointment is still coming from
there are proposals in that area.
From a partisan point.
No, there's a proposal in that area which you're also going to consider, that IPAC is proposing membership of other parties to be represented. You give maybe 2 or 3 major parties representation in the INEC.
There are also those who are proposing, Honorable,
Commission.
that why don't you publish INEC position just like you publish some other position? Because if it's an unbiased, it's supposed to serve as an umpire, and all the criteria is there for you to fulfill. If it's published, rather than have the president or the political party responsible for the appointment.
Like I said, these are options people are bringing. They are all going to be taken to for public hearing, and at the end of the day, is the wish of the people. You see, what INEC, the INEC will do whatever is given to it to be done by the law. Even we ourselves, by the time we make any amendment, it is the opinion of the people that matters at the end of the day. When you go for public hearing, and what you want to do, want to have a very robust public hearing considering the electoral
published
reform,
so that a lot of people are aware.
In fact, our target,
put it on television, put it on the media, so that a lot of Nigerians
our target is to ensure that we go to at least 2/3 of the states of the federation. 2/3. We are going to administer over 5,000 questionnaires per state, divided amongst all walks of life, so that by the time you are bringing in people, and there will be a lot of education on these issues before the public hearing, because some of these issues people get sentimental sometimes, they get emotional, and we don't really get to understand some of these issues. That's why we need the media. You see, we are talking about diaspora voting, for example, and every person will say, no, we need it, but you don't understand
what it means. So now the big question here, Honorable,
and explain some of these issues to people, so that when you are making taking a decision, you are taking an informed decision.
Now, Honorable, time is also of the essence, and I pointed it out, and I was saying it to everyone that cared to listen when the 2022 Electoral Act was passed into law. And I warned and I said, look, we're going to have major crises based on the new positions of the law at the time. And we had it. It went not only internal political party issues, which I pointed out, having read through the Electoral Act back to back, from page 1 to the last page, I read, and I saw that there were going to be problems with political parties not understanding the position, the new position of the law. And I also said that there were going to be issues with general elections, the new positions of the law. Even some INEC positions were being faulted because of lack of understanding of the new positions of the law. Now, my question here, Honorable, is that how are we going to be able to have the amendment of the Electoral Act early enough, so that we can have good education on the new positions?
The middle of next year, we want to ensure that we get it signed. Middle of next year, signed.
That's
passed and signed by Mr. President.
So we have almost 2 years before the next election.
Because education is very important. Most of the political parties do not even understand their own party constitution. Because these are areas where we want to go now. We must ensure that political parties understand their party constitution, the Electoral Act, and the Constitution of the Federal Republic. And we'll be advising that, look, you have legal officers in your party. This is no time you take Baba this or Baba that to be your legal officer. Get people who understand the law. Because every political parties have it from national level to state level to local government to the world level.
I mean, one area that
unfortunately we are not. Even some people still be talking about the way they did primaries 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Another act is coming, amendment is coming now. It might be different from what we had during the last election.
Education is now. The question about political party finances, is very critical. And there are those who believe that the kind of monies that go into our election are obscene. Are there directions in that area as to amendment of those provisions?
We are even increasing the fines and penalties for people who flout those laws in terms of how much is spent on elections. But the issue is, let's be sincere to ourselves, is it easy to track? Because most people that spend for election don't even spend directly. Many people spend on your behalf. You know how much money goes.
But we need to create a system to
we're looking at it. Look, we all have to agree on this together. Because we're a member of the National Assembly doesn't give us the overall knowledge.
Your own oversight. Your own oversight, Honorable. You are in Ondo, you are in Edo to play as members of the parliament to play oversight on the election and see what INEC did. Did you ask INEC, have they gotten a report on monies that are spent in those two elections, on whether or not, even in after the 2023 general election, if the political parties have submitted their audited account as prescribed by the law?
You see, most of the issues is most of the time when we have some of these laws, we don't usually have consequences, and those are the things we are amending in the law now. Sometimes they tell you should do this, but
INEC is the regulator.
What I'm saying, even
INEC is the regulator. If a political party fails to submit its audited account, is not being able to give account to the Nigerian people and the political parties of the money they spend.
This amendment, we realize that most of the time, most of these issues don't have consequences. Those are the things we are now putting. For example, the law says you must submit your party membership register to INEC a month before the primaries. But it never said if you don't, what happens. That was why Obi was able to contest and get away with it. Because the law says it, but Obi joined less than a month to the primaries, even a week to the primaries of Labour Party. But because the law did not say this is what will happen. But now, if you do that in the next election, you will be disqualified. And any party that does not submit is registered will not participate in the primaries.
So we should be expecting robust electoral.
And we'll carry you along, because we need to carry the media along, because what we need more is information, dissemination. And even in that area, we are even trying to remove the voters' education aspect of INEC to NOAA. We are already talking to now to see orientation agency. So that you have the capacity to handle this, so that INEC will be able to face election matters alone.
Thank you so much, Honorable Adebayo Balogun, who is the chair of the House Committee on Electoral Matters. Thank you so much indeed for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
That's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for being part of it. I'm Sean Kimale. God bless Nigeria.